Hey, listen, I quit. Yeah, I'm going into stocks.
Name of the game. Move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket.
But if you can make your clients money at the same time, it's advantageous to everyone, correct?
No one is paying attention.
It's unbelievable.
Have to act now.
God, this is intimate. I feel like I'm financially inside of you or something.
Okay.
I have 5 houses and a condo.
I'm considering going long on April week. What do you think, Valentine?
Alright, so hi guys, welcome back to the channel, the Greedy Trader channel of course, where we talk about all things market profile. Now for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome aboard. Again, we like to think about the market in terms of the way a professional trader will think about the market, which is all things market profile. So if you don't know what market profile is, then I would suggest that you take a look at some of the other videos we've done and get yourself acquainted. For those of you guys who've been following me for a while, thank you very much for being here. I just say it is another video. Alright, so today I wanted to kind of bring you guys up to date. I've done a couple of videos, but I think I had a bit of a lull, a break or two between videos, just basically getting caught up with other stuff. Anyway, I'm back. I'm promising to do more videos for you so you guys can get fully acquainted with market profile. Now, there's something, and again, this might not be everyone's view on this, right? But I wanted to talk primarily about all of these guys on the internet, like, drawing lines on candlestick charts and telling you to buy supports, not being funny, so the ICT stuff, fair enough, right? But guys, I think everyone needs to have a degree of realism around this, right? That's kind of some of the premise around the channel. Is one of the things we wanted to do here, which was different from everybody else, is we wanted to make trading real. So we wanted to kind of bring an edge to it in the same way a professional money manager will look at the market, and that's kind of what we wanted to do here. And we weren't really focused on all that fancy stuff. One of the things I do a lot of here is swing positions, right? So I don't generally put up a lot of intraday stuff. I do have, you guys have seen how I've showed you guys, if you're going to get into intraday trading, how you would do it so it's most efficient. And most of you know my 2 trades a day limit, right? So, but again, I'm a big believer of volatility doesn't necessarily, you can't predict it, right? So it doesn't necessarily happen every day, right? So you could basically see, so if you take the Pareto's law or Pareto optimum and we think about how that works, right? So you could buy an asset today, does nothing for 3 days, and then tomorrow it goes up 60%. Now, not a soul on the face of the earth could have predicted that volatility. To give you an example, let's say talking about Coinbase, right? I did a tremendous X on Coinbase, right? So basically, for those of you following me on the YouTube, pretty much double my money on Coinbase, right? And could I have predicted that Coinbase was going to go from $50 to $100 in a week? Absolutely not. Did I know that Coinbase would probably trade $100 by the end of the year? Yes, I did. And I did put that in the Discord server. By the way, there's a free link below if you want to join. It's completely free. But I didn't make mention of that. That guy should be looking at Coinbase, because that thing is going to really X. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that volatility is an unpredictable thing. So is it a good idea to put in a position that has the ability to go much further on a longer term time frame? Yeah, absolutely. Makes a lot more sense. Would you want to perhaps day trade per se something in order, to get a few points here and there. And it wouldn't make much sense relative to, someone who's going to do swing. But once again, it's a preference thing, right? I'm a big believer. You don't want to, the market's not all about excitement. It's about how you can generate a return. So when I see all these internet traders, right, I think to myself, like, everyone's like day trading everywhere, and it's just all like a hell of a lot of excitement, and that's great. But in reality, if you guys are honest with yourself, are you really making a return? Right? You're doing all this stuff, running around all these guys, following them on Twitter and all this other stuff, right? The 2 million a month guys and all of that stuff. So you're doing all of these things, right? But are you making a return, right? Well, there you go. So for me, it's really about how can we make a return. And that's what I try and do in this channel, is help people understand how they can make a return. Now, of course, if you want to kind of talk to me about it one-on-one personally, then feel free to reach out. Everybody knows I'm quite down to earth, and just DM me in my Discord server. It's really that simple, and then we can have a chat. But again, it's really down to everyone what they really want, I suppose. And the other thing I always say to traders is, don't think of the market as this place that's just gonna pay you endless amounts of money. I mean, a lot of people think about the market in terms of, I'm getting into trading and investment because I want to get rich. Well, yeah, it doesn't really work that way, right? So you might say, here's another way you should say, I want to get into the markets so that I can learn about investing, a skill that I'm going to have for the rest of my life. But secondly, whatever capital I bring in, I want to understand how I could make a return on that capital, right? So if I'm bringing in 100 grand into the market, how do I make 100% return in, a given period of time? Maybe a year, maybe 2 years, right? Or it might be, how do I just make a 20 or 30% return, right? So you must have a return objective when you come into the market. It's very similar to, if you're a real estate developer, you're not just going to get into real estate development for the excitement. You're going to get in there because you think you can make a return, right? Someone has said to you that if you do this, you're going to make a return, right? Reality is reality, right? Maybe a lot of people say, I want to get into real estate development because I want to be like super rich. Well, because it's a business, the idea is that I want to make money. But I think for me, it's always just about, one, being able to make a return, two, being able to make a consistent return, and three, being able to be financially free, right? By that I mean no debts, just be able to live life, whether that's simply, extravagance is never good regardless. So whether that's simply, or just you want to live a normal life without having to answer to the man, then that's great. That's why I would think you'd get into this, and it will be the anchor that would mean that you are going to ultimately treat that seriously. So when I see these internet type guys, I have to ask myself, what are they trying to achieve, I suppose, is the question. And yeah, I think we can all, without saying it out loud, we can all understand what they're trying to achieve. Anyway, to avoid this entire whole thing being a lecture, let's just have a brief chat about what we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, which was the Aussie dollar. I said to you guys, I'm gonna stay long the Aussie, right? Because I think that we are squeezed territory, right? For those of you guys who understand what I'm talking about, right? Over here, we look a lot more at position data, money flow versus price action. We look at market profiles. So we look at all the market in a professional way. And I've always said to you guys that if the market goes up, it's because someone's fucked up. It's not because, of anything, right? The whole framework of the market is deception. The idea is to deceive as many people as possible to do the opposite thing. And that's kind of what goes on here, right? So if the market goes high very quickly, then someone is too short and they're fucked up. Or if the market goes too low very quickly, then someone is too long and they're fucked up, right? So being able to understand how to discover when an asset's about to squeeze is probably a very important thing, right? So, I mean, we spoke about the Aussie, you know, without having to go over it all over again. You can clearly see that, you know, we traded out of bids and then we're now moving higher, and then we did have this pullback, but I was concerned that we're getting into squeeze territory. Now, of course, I was expecting us to at least trade bids, right? But, you know, but then, you know, we're away. But I've got a running position on it, and you know, I'm now break even, so I'm not really concerned anymore. I skimmed off, I took my trades off cable, which was great. You know, I literally got that at the top of the market, so that was good. Those guys who saw that trade, well, you know what I'm talking about. You know, again, so I'm in the Aussie still, right? So what we spoke about was Aussie dollar and Aussie CAD, right? So I chose to sell the CAD and I chose to sell the dollar at the same time, right? So again, you can see, you know, we're setting up bids here, and we're going to be moving up. And the question is, are these offers going to hold? We got depressed value, price moving higher. We got to really watch the offers. But again, you know, my real trade here is the Aussie dollar. You know, I'm just opting to sell CAD, and both those positions break even, so it's a risk-free for me at the moment. But I really want to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But then again, like I said, that's what it means to be a professional. We want to trade for high probability setups, you know, from high probability locations. Now, again, if you look at my Apple, so again, let's talk about equities, right? So again, like I always say to you guys, you can take any market and put it on a profile, right? So as you can see, I've put a chart of Apple on, and this was an asset I was looking at. So again, for those of you guys who follow me, you can actually see that. So if we go to the option chain, right, because I'm currently, so where are we? Let's just spin this up here for a second, right? Right, so I'm currently short puts, right, on Apple, which basically means I'm anticipating the stock to go up. So why am I selling put options, right? So if we just spin back to where we are, so again, we can see that we drove down, right? This, I mean, it's really standing out at this point, right? So we can see where the shorts were, the late shorts, and then we can see the market drive, and then we find bids, and then we gap up. Yeah, and this is, so we're looking at this is a 30-minute profile, right? So we're really looking here at how things are functioning within sort of the shorter term window, right? So I can clearly see in the shorter term window, this is what we're looking like. Okay, right, so we went up, we took out the offers, met some responsive selling, and then ultimately traded down, collected bids, accumulated, and then we pushed, done a value trade. If we take out the B period print, oh boy, it's going to be exciting, right? But the context is already there, right? So the context is already there. So if we just pop over here to the longer term framework of Apple, you can actually see that they're bids, right? We've got a responsive buyer, right? We try to fill the gap, and you know, this kind of minus development here, we found bids, right? Literally people are buying into the gap, right? So we know that we got a strong big bid 190, 189 sort of level. So selling 185 puts is not a bad strategy in an asset that could potentially do 195.50, 195.80, and I'm only looking you know, it's a 10 day calendar, 10 DTE, right? So again, guys, it's just all about context. Anyway, to avoid this entire thing being a lecture, you guys have seen how I play things and how it looks, and this is how a professional trader thinks, right? So this is how we look at things. So there are various ways you can execute in the market. Why didn't I just go buy Apple? Well, yeah, I could do on a day trade. Equities are much better at a day trade, so I could have done that on a day trade, but decided that this is probably a more longer term swing move. So I'll sell some options, I'll sell some premium. Theta's working against them. you know, I can back that. And by the way, guys, if you want to learn how to trade options like a professional, not this like, you know, buy calls and puts and wait for the explosion, that Robinhood business, if you really want to do the real stuff, then that's what I'm talking about, guys. You need to learn how to do it, right? So again, if you check my School of Investing, I've got an entire course program on, you know, how to do options properly, right? I don't deal in this internet. Again, that's what I tell you about the internet, guys. You've got to be careful with those dudes. Anyway, so yeah, that's it. That's how a professional thinks about it, right? So rather than have theta work against me, why am I going to go long calls? Or why am I going to buy the cash stock if I'm not trying to intraday trade it, right? And expose myself to certain types of gap risk on the intraday. You need to lock in stop losses, etc. Just collect premium, right? If you're sure about your level, you give your trade some room to work, and it's good, right? So again, you know, there's risk attached to every trade, but for me, that feels like a more low risk way of, well, this specific scenario, it's more low risk to enter the market. So that's exactly what I do. Right, so again, it's the same. You know, I'm looking at currencies, I'm looking at a swing play, right? Why would I want to intraday stop? Look at the volatility in these guys, right? You know, 1 minute you're up, 1 minute you're down. It's just not that kind of a market. Why not get a clearer picture? So I look at slightly longer term profiles that expose me to volatility, give me good risk reward profiling without necessarily exposing me to the choppiness of an intraday trade move. Right? How do we piece this all together? Right? There's other stuff that we do to bring it all together. It doesn't take long to get all this data, but there's other things we put together. You know, we look at a lot of other stuff. Again, check out our Discord server if you want to find out a bit more. But anyway, guys, awesome stuff. Thanks for watching. We'll call it a close here. But to my next video, adios.
Hey, listen, I quit. Yeah, I'm going into stocks.
Name of the game. Move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket.
But if you can make your clients money at the same time, it's advantageous to everyone, correct?
No one is paying attention.
It's unbelievable.
Have to act now.
God, this is intimate. I feel like I'm financially inside of you or something.
Okay.
I have 5 houses and a condo.
I'm considering going long on April wheat. What do you think, Valentine?